just wanted to test out this recent adventure that I'm trying to do. First of all, I've got on this particular day, as you're listening to my podcast, I've also got a video running as well, and I just wanted to see how that works out. So shout out to those video people out there. There's been a lot of achievements over the last few weeks, and apparently me and my friend Mazran, who's been doing these podcasts, have just realized, as I've posted it on Facebook and also Twitter, that we're currently on the 29th, and this will be the 30th episode for these podcasts. And I wanted to thank all of you for the support. Again, those YouTube people or whoever is watching this video, great to have you on board this time around. We'll see how this works moving forward. But I just wanted again to say thank you again for the 30th episode. And it appears that we've really reached the 6-month mark. And I think as a result of that, we're going to be doing some restructuring and thinking about how we're going to be moving forward with this adventure. Now, I wanted to again remind myself and those of you who are listening to this podcast that the main reason why we did this was to promote mental health awareness. And two incidences, I think, over the last 2 days have really opened my eyes again to remind me again about why I'm doing this, why my friends in the back room, and I've got a team, as I mentioned before, of a few people that help me with video editing, sometimes animations for others, and of course this podcast and copywriting to some certain small aspects of it as well. That we're doing it for people that might not be able to find help, and I know that most of the time we do it in English, and that reaches out to a certain segment of population. But we also try from time to time to actually mix the languages so that our Malay audience and those who are more proficient in that language will be able to achieve these particular information. Now, I just wanted to point out to, again, like I said, two particular incidences of the last 24 hours that really sort of reminded me again why I'm doing this. So the first one is this question that was posed to me yesterday in clinic from a patient of mine who mentioned that, is it just recently that we're seeing a lot of people with mental health issues? And I don't think so. I think what's happened over the last probably year or two is that we've had a lot more mental health awareness and a lot of mental health sharing, particularly from our friends in the media. I know the Star paper, for example, have done quite a lot of work together with New Straits Times in their health section, particularly on Sundays. And more recently, we've also had features in the Malay papers as well. And I know my colleagues, Dr. Ng Chong Guan and Dr. Ann Yee, as you have probably seen on my Facebook posting, have also got a number of opportunities to share it with the Chinese language papers as well. Now, in saying that, in 2016, when we did our mental health awareness campaign through the art exhibition, we had a very big feature from, I think it was one of the Chinese dailies, and I thank them for that. Now, apart from the mass media through reading, we've also got a number of opportunities, particularly over the last 6 months, and I think that's why we've had a lot of exposure, particularly from Astro, and I know my colleague, Dr. Mohsin, has done a lot of work with the other channels like TV3 and also RTM. And again, that increases the reach of mental health awareness in the country, which in some ways helps in promoting people to come forward because, as you probably know, mental health is a taboo subject with a lot of stigma. In fact, people like us who do mental health work have also got stigma on us. There've been people accusing us that we might not be good doctors and therefore we did psychiatry, but as you probably know, that's not true. So I just wanted to share with you that probably that could be one of the reasons. And as a result of that, a number of people have come forward, and it appears like mental health is the in thing at the moment when it's actually always been there. And I give that example to the same patient of mine that even in the past, we've already had people with depression, for example. We know of writers like Virginia Woolf who needed to spend time in the cottages, and in fact, that was one of the ways that they treated mental health in the past, where they would, send you to a cabin or a nice retreat home, somewhere where it's calmer, so that you'll be able to, get back your nerves, if that's the way to use it. So that could be, that means that mental health has been there for a number of years. And if you're, a Muslim, for example, and other religions, I suspect has the same sort of understanding that if you are not well, either physically or psychologically, you will be excused from doing the day-to-day activities that your religion might want to ask you to do. And therefore, again, that's just the acknowledgement that there are people that are struggling with these kind of issues, even in a very, very long time ago. So that's one. And you can see that sometimes I actually use some cues to help me with this podcast. And again, I'm talking to the people on the YouTube video. So if you're listening to this podcast, this particular one, this is a special one because this is the 6-month sort of mark. The 6 months that we realized it, 26 weeks has passed by. We're now currently about 30 weeks actually, but 31 weeks because I missed one when I was overseas. So we're a little just bit off the 6-month mark, but this is just sort of a little bit special because we sort of realized that we've been moving to the 26 week mark. So it's 6 months since we've actually started this project. So again, like I said, if you're listening to this particular podcast, we'll be launching it together with the video. They'll be on my Facebook page. And again, I've changed also the handle to be simplified. So now it's at Dr. Amir Siddiq PSY, which is similar to my Twitter handle, which you'll be able to find this podcast. And also, I've also made some other tweaks that we'll be sharing with you on both of those main platforms. Yeah. So the second one that sort of really that's really sort of again reminded me why I do this work is this particular post that just came out. Now it's a Sunday. It's about 1:30, 2 p.m. And my teacher, Mrs. Samruda, who's an English teacher of mine, who my whole classmate from high school still keep in touch with. Well, she posted out this very heart-wrenching post about stating very clearly that depression is real. Please pray for my son's my friend's son or daughter. I can't remember which one it was. But it just sort of, and I don't know the details, to be fair, and I'm going to put it out there that I don't know the details. But what I do know is that it just sort of hints to the idea that this individual might have struggled with depression. And it feels to me that the outcome wasn't that great. And again, if this was true, sincere condolences from me and also the fraternity in mental health. We do hope that you have the courage to move forward. But again, this is one of the reasons why we do this. This is also one of the reasons why I actually work with Befrienders Kuala Lumpur in trying to provide some assistance to most of you here who might need our help. Again, this is another thing that was also raised by my other patient yesterday. What are the causes of depression? And like I always mentioned, the causes are multifactorial. There are many causes for depression, but what we do know is that when an individual has major depressive disorder, it is not just normal sadness. They do require some level of help. And if you are struggling with depression, as I keep on mentioning, help is available in Malaysia. You can get it from the public sector or the private sector. There are NGOs out there that actually do quite a lot of work in trying to get you to come forward. The least you could do is just Google Befrienders Kuala Lumpur. You'll get a number. You can call them. They'll be able to also lead you, to help. But essentially, their job is for active listening, so you don't, talk to a wall or in my case, talk to myself. But I know that today I've got some listeners listening to me. But that's the reason why we do this work. And the other reason as well is that there's a growing number of mental health professionals out there that are ever ready to help you. I've put it on my Facebook page that if you don't want to see a doctor, you've got psychologists out there, counselors out there, some occupational therapists, some nurses are specialized in mental health, and they might be able to at least give you some help should you require it, or at least lead you to better help. In fact, in my clinic, sometimes I tell people that I don't have all the answers, and that's the truth. I'm not a child psychiatrist. I'm not, particularly an old age psychiatrist as well. But what I could do, if I could help you, I will. But if I can't, I'll refer you to the necessary people. And again, you just need a point of contact person, and hopefully that person will be able to, send you to the right directions for you to get help. So we don't have these kind of postings that my teacher had actually posted out today. So, I just wanted to again remind myself why I'm doing this, and I wanted to thank all of you in the listeners over here, because this is really a big milestone for us. 6 months. It's been 6 months, if not more, of us doing this, and I think this is really amazing. I wanted to also give a shout out to Raku.my, who've actually been happy to put it out on their platform. We're hosting this on Shout Engine, and they've really made myself and Mazran, our lives a little bit easier because we have that particular platform. We've been managed to get into iTunes as well, so you can get us there. And if you Google this podcast, I have to say that there are lots of other platforms that have sort of taken on board our podcast. And I want to thank all of you here. If you're listening from another country that's not Malaysia, well, do come and visit us in Malaysia. But I just wanted you to also know that we have a mental health care service here, which you could easily access. I wanted to also say that we've got a number of foreign visitors and also expats who's actually working in Malaysia, and I had 2 patients actually from New Zealand, the place where I studied, and I suspect that's one of the reasons why they came to see me. But two people who were here, and they had some trouble with their mental health and had problems accessing health when we do have health. And I just wanted to say to you that access is available. It might be a little bit tricky, and that's why some of us here are trying to bridge that gap. So a lot of other people that might need our help could actually find it quite easily. Now, one of the other reasons why we're doing this podcast as well is to create mental health awareness. We want to destigmatize this particular problem. Mental health is a very important integral part of health. The WHO states it very clearly that there's no health if there's no physical health, mental health, and also social well-being. So please remember that if you are struggling with a psychological issue, you're not healthy, and you probably want to improve that. And that's where these services are available for you to access. And I hope that at least my country will be able to help you should you require that kind of assistance. Now, again, I want to make a big shout out to both my listeners here on the podcast and also you guys on the video. That please give us some feedback. We're really happy to receive that feedback. Sometimes it is a bit of a lonely journey, I have to admit, and having some feedback, whether it's good or bad, does help me and my team improve in the work that we actually do. So I think I'm going to end off here. We try to keep it at about 15 minutes or so, and I'm sort of bordering around that. So I just wanted to say again, thank you very much. Do follow us on Twitter at Dr. Amir Siddiq PSY. Similarly for Facebook, same particular handle. We're on this platform for the podcast. If you're listening us from Raku, you can also get us on iTunes. If you're on iTunes, you get us on Raku and Apple Podcasts. It's been really helpful. So if you have an Apple iPhone phone, which I do, and I'm making this video on that phone as well. So I can't show you my phone because we're actually video recording it on that. So again, the podcast app will also be helpful. Now I know that if you're on Android phones, I really don't really know where you can find us on this, and I've got to find that research. But again, we're available there as well for you. But again, if you download the Raku.my app, you'll be able to get us, but be it on Facebook, be it on Apple or also an Android facility. So again, thanks a lot from me, my team, for the support over the last 6 months, and we're going to continue this for the next, for the long time, hopefully. And hopefully we're going to be announcing some interesting changes because we've reached that particular segment of 6 months where hopefully we'll be able to reach out to you a little bit more. I want to thank all the people that have given me support in promoting this particular podcast, Health Today. I've got to mention Health Today because they gave us a 4-page spread in the March edition. We're in April the 1st today, so if you don't have it, you probably need to ask your vendor whether there's still some remaining left. But we have that there, and if you wanted to know who Mazran is, you might be able to read a little bit about my connection with him and why we're doing this. So again, thanks everybody. Do give us a feedback, and hopefully this will continue for quite a number of years. Bye bye. See you.